Walking through Brooklyn, coffee in hand, feels like 9 degrees. All right, it's time to catch this train. Getting on the L, going from one part of Brooklyn to another. Not like I really know what I'm doing, but hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a brand new edition of Street Apologist Live. I'm your host, Vocab Malone. Very excited about tonight's program. Had a little bit of a different intro there where I'm going from one part of Brooklyn to another part of Brooklyn to meet up with a friend whom you see pictured in front of 770. If you don't know what that means, you're going to learn today. We went and visited Chabad HQ in Brooklyn, specifically Crown Heights. And I'm very excited to introduce to the Street Apologist Live audience the one, the only, Nico Calazzo. Yo, tell people where you are from.
Born and raised in Brooklyn.
Tell people your theological background.
Well, in a very kind of short answer, born and raised in a Pentecostal kind of upbringing. I now serve as a deacon at a Reformed church, but I am a Messianic Jew.
So ethnically, can you get a little bit into that?
Yeah. So ethnically, and it gets kind of complicated, but again, I'll give you the shorthand. Ethnically, on my father's side, we descend from Sephardic Jews who were either kicked out or they moved out because of the Spanish Inquisition. And yeah, so I'm Puerto Rican and Jewish.
Now, how long have you kind of been bringing those worlds together, Nico?
Ever since I was younger, I want to say like 6 or 7, I was told that, I had Jewish heritage by my grandmother's brother, but never knew what that meant until years later. Growing up in Brooklyn, you see a certain type of Jews, and, I only showed the Ashkenazi Jews and thought, okay, I don't look like them. They don't look like me. So, I have no relation to that. But as years progressed on, I've kind of like started embracing, and after learning my heritage, so I've been, embracing that more within the past, I want to say 12, 11 years.
Nice. Now, how did you and I become friends?
Was it that I hit you up on Messenger or something like that?
I think you had some Hebrew Israelites in your area or something. You were asking about something like that.
Yeah, well, so when I came to faith young, but like, as I was growing in my faith, I was surrounded by Black Hebrew Israelites, and so when I found your channel, this was years ago. It was dope to be like, all right, cool. Like this dude is actually talking about, these guys, engaging with them, and you were actually sharpening a lot of, the tools that I had, as far as just on the ground stuff, because a lot of stuff that I was learning was just like in conversation. I didn't have any reference, any study or nothing like that. So that was initially how I got to like know of you. But I hit you up, I think couple of months ago. I want to say maybe like at this point a year ago. Um, and I, I have found a video and was like, "Yo, you should check this out." You know what I mean? And that's like kind of how the friendship, I guess, like picked up. You know what I'm saying? So
And
yeah,
I got a hold of Nico. I said, "All right, I'm gonna be in Brooklyn." We met up. He helped me kind of get around and make sure I didn't get on the wrong train because I had went to church Sunday morning, Brooklyn at Roswell Berry's church. We met up in Bed-Stuy,
yeah,
and
yo,
then we got some bagels. And then we went from Bed-Stuy over to Crown Heights. So we got on another train, and
yeah,
then we entered into Crown Heights. Now we walked through a little bit. I want to show people some stuff. I got some pictures. It might take me a second to get this set up. So just hold your horses while I'm doing this. You might see some weird stuff on the screen or whatever. While I'm doing this, though, can you tell people a little bit about there? You're gonna see a black screen, but everybody can still hear you. Tell
right.
people about your ministry and art and whatnot, if you could, please.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I'm an artist. I do predominantly graffiti art, but I can pretty much do it all. Um, I'm down with a crew called God Crew, GODKREW, and we got different branches in New York, one New York, and then predominantly in Texas. But we pretty much evangelize through the art of graffiti. So we're hitting up walls as far, legally. We're hitting up walls, doing shows, events, and we try to pick up conversations about the gospel. Um, you know, People see us rocking for the name of Yeshua, and they're just like, "Yo, like, how does this make sense?" You know what I'm saying? Especially me, like when I'm out here rocking, and I have my kippa or my yarmulke on and the tassels. They're like, "Yo, what's going on here?" So that's a perfect opportunity for people to ask about my faith and for me to relay the gospel. So, in a nutshell, that's kind of what I do predominantly. I love outreach into the graph community, to really any community, but my heart is really for the graph community and the Jewish community.
So
So
the
yeah,
graph art on the screen, Nico, of course, is yours. Tell people about this piece because while we were on our way to go visit Chabad, and don't worry, we're going to get to Chabad. The thing is, I need more people in the live chat. So please hit that like button. Make sure you
yeah, yeah,
subscribe. And no matter where you're at in this, could you drop us your name, maybe what city you're in? Tell us what city. Sound off so we get some stuff flowing. This is your piece.
yeah,
We
yeah.
saw this on the way.
Yeah, I did it last year. I have a wall in the neighborhood that, the guys at the bodega, they graciously gave to me after, I rocked the first wall for free. Um and so like, they gave this wall to me for me to kind of go in whenever I want and do a new one. But anyway, um so I did this wall around Halloween. Kind of took the Halloween theme and flipped it. I don't celebrate Halloween. I don't believe believers should. That's sort of another discussion. But I took the idea. If you see, I would think on one of the pictures you can see, I took lyrics from the song, the Ghostbusters theme,
Yeah,
and
it's on
said,
the screen right now. It says "I ain't afraid of no ghosts." It's got a
"Yeah,
little.
I ain't afraid of no
It's
ghosts."
got
Right.
and then but
So
then it's got a demon on
right,
there,
exactly.
and you got Yeshua in the top, and
Right.
everybody
So I
see
got
Yeshua. He's
Yeshua
saying, "Come out!"
saying come out, right, and then you got the demon coming out. So taking the idea of as believers, these goblins and ghouls, they have no authority over us, and so we ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Nice. So people want to find your art. How do they
Yeah,
find
yeah,
your art on Instagram?
yeah. You could check me out on Instagram, like was just said. Armored Tribe 91. That's ARMORD Tribe 91. Yeah, you could check out my artwork there, the walls that I do. I also have a link to a store that I sell clothing, faith based designs,
Nice.
and I do a lot of stuff that highlights the Jewish culture of the scriptures. So
That's
check me out.
beautiful. It's beautiful. And, I love this area of New York. I took a couple amateur little pictures just at different points when I was walking to you or when we were walking together. But one thing that cracks me about New York is just all the trash on the side of the street.
Bro.
Hey, but I'm not here just to talk about the trash. You know what I'm about to talk about, right? It's something I took a picture when we were walking.
Uh-oh. What was it?
Bro, you got to help people understand what is going on with the rats in New York City, man.
Oh, yeah, okay. I mean,
I mean, dude.
listen, the rats have just as much of a right to live here as we do. We just
So.
neighbors at this
I
point.
guess
You know
so.
what I'm saying?
I guess so. They show up in other. Now, this isn't your art. This is another artist's
It's
art.
another mural.
But these rats are so prominent. They're showing up on the wall murals, bro.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, for those who seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back in the '90s, Master Splinter, got history out here. So, you know,
Yeah, and
it's
look,
your tradition.
hey, this rat has a gat, man, and this is a rat with a gat.
A rat with a gat. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And then we're walking, everybody, right? And don't worry, we're on our way to Chabad. We're not in the nice part yet. I see this sign, and it says, "Caution, the Department of Health has been treating for rats on this property. Please watch children at play. Please keep all dogs on leash." Yo! The rats are so bad, they're worried about them beating up the dogs and your kids, bro.
That's hilarious.
Hey, go ahead and block Riker. I knew someone was going to use this opportunity to make some anti-Semitic comments. Riker, you're gone. That's it, bro. I'm not really going to put up with none of that now. Sorry. Well, I'm not really sorry. You should be sorry, but peace out, Riker. Go ahead, Warrior Woman. I see you up in there. Andrea, one of you two, get Riker out of here. All right, now, so we're on our way to 770, all right? And we're, huh? What, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Let me flip it back where we can, see us both right here. And explain people what Crown Heights is in relationship to Brooklyn and whatnot, and what's going on in Crown Heights.
Well, Crown Heights is a big neighborhood, right? It consists of Caribbean and Jewish population, right? But Crown Heights
is there Asian population there too? I was hearing. No.
Yes, but not
Oh,
that
that's
big.
more in
Like,
Borough Park. My bad.
yeah,
Go
that's
ahead.
up towards Borough Park. So
Yeah.
like Bensonhurst is more Asian. But what's it called? Yeah, so Crown Heights is like Caribbean and Orthodox Jewish, but there's a section within Crown Heights, specifically what we're talking about on Eastern Parkway, that is like heavily that's the Jewish neighborhood, so to speak. And then when you go like a block or two later, you start running into the Caribbean and things of that nature. But yeah, Crown Heights is one of the most famous neighborhoods in Brooklyn that are Jewish neighborhoods. We got a couple of neighborhoods in Brooklyn that are Jewish, but that's one of the more famous ones.
Modest Yahoo comes out of there, or he just spent time there.
From my understanding, Ma'is Yahoo came out of there because if you're familiar with his earlier stuff, like when he was rocking like the beard and the kippah and stuff like that, some of the songs actually he learned from his time in Chabad. You know what I'm saying? So there's a song called "Got No Water." And in the beginning, if you listen to the live version, he does like this whole kind of Hebrew song.
Oh yeah.
It's a recitation of the psalm, as my soul, as the deer pants for the water, so my soul thirsts for thee. But it's actually from the Rebbe who sung it in one of his broadcasts.
Oh yeah, and I also know he in his live shows he would do the "We want Mashiach, we want Mashiach now, we want Mashiach, we want Mashiach now." They would do that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. In one of his concerts, he actually had a Chabad guy up on stage dancing with him.
Oh, that's
I think
fascinating.
one day.
They
Yeah.
they call them Chabadniks. That's not considered offensive?
No, not that I think.
Because I saw some Chabad guys call themselves Chabadniks. So I was like, oh, it's not like a slur or nothing.
Yeah, I don't think it's a slur.
Yeah, and then also there's I remember he does the Shema in one of his songs where he's like, Shema Israel. He does that whole thing too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so here we are. Let me put on a video real quick. If you're coming in, okay, you're coming in to Crown Heights. Oh, that's the wrong thing.
My thoracic cavity,
Hold up.
empty as a cow.
My bad. That's from a show we did, IUIC Haters Ball. I just grabbed the wrong one. We'll edit that out later. But so we were coming into Crown Heights, and immediately you start to see Jewish families. Immediately you start to see people walking fast. Immediately you start to see that type of thing. And so like I just got a 3-second clip as we're coming into Crown Heights. Here's what you'll see this a lot. And that's kind of the style of the houses you'll see a lot. So this is on Eastern Parkway. This is us as we're approaching.
Mm-hmm.
And, you see people, they're doing their thing. They're going to their houses. They're kind of used to people coming up in there. But it's not all you see.
Yeah.
I want to show people what else you see that is very interesting. And it's stickers. What kind of stickers might they see when they come into the neighborhood?
Yeah, so throughout Brooklyn, actually, you'll see these stickers. It's a picture of the Rebbe, Menachem Mendel Schneerson, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And it says on the bottom, Mashiach is here, or Messiah is here, or they'll say like, King Mashiach is here, King Messiah is here. So you'll see a bunch of those stickers. Yep, just like that. Messiah is here.
So Rebbe is rabbi, but they call him the Rebbe.
Right.
And
Yeah.
he's passed away. So why do they still say Messiah is here? Because he's no longer with us.
Right. So they have it's kind of unclear in a sense because if you listen to his broadcast or like the broadcast that I've heard, um he doesn't call himself the Messiah. He doesn't claim messiahship, but he says, I've done all I can to bring in the era of Messiah,
Right.
and now I'm leaving it in your hands. And so I guess his his followers, his disciples, so to speak, some of them, were looking at what his accomplishments were, his political influence, that type of stuff, and they were just like, man, this guy accomplished so much. And then on top of that, the way that he died, from my understanding, his followers started taking what happened in his death and applying scripture to it and saying he has to be the Messiah based on what he's done when he was alive and then how he died.
Fascinating. And his real name is not the Rebbe, although that's a title. His real
Right.
name is...
Menachem Mendel Schneerson.
And that's why a lot of people in Chabad to this day are named Mendel.
I mean, probably, in honor of him, but I'm pretty sure that name goes way back before him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hassan Anwabwile says, you went to check in, Vocab. Ha, 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 LOL. Hey, Hassan, just wait. Hey, just wait, Hassan. You ain't seen nothing yet. Just wait till you see some of these pictures. Just so
wait.
everyone knows, Hassan's like a Hebrew Israelite hater. But just wait till he sees these pictures I'm about to show. He's going to lose his mind. He's going to
Man,
lose his mind, yeah.
you got to show him the paychecks and everything, bro, that they send it to you.
James G says, my Jewish friend personally knew the Rebbe. He was a little kid before he died. If he ever went and visited him, James, he probably would have got $1 because the idea is, hey, take this $1 and give it to someone else as an act of kindness. That was a big thing that he did. But I want to show you some of these signs. Now, we need to make it clear. Chabad is a section of belief within Hasidic Judaism. It's
Right.
not all encompassing. and you sometimes hear them called Lubavitchers
Yeah, yeah.
pronunciation. How do you pronounce?
You said it good the first time.
Okay. And but certain ones who are part of Chabad's an acronym, by the way. Chabad's not the only form of Orthodox Judaism in Brooklyn or in Crown Heights, but it's dominant within Crown Heights. Is that accurate, you think?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
That
now,
that specific neighborhood where we
right,
were at is like the center of Chabad. Yeah.
because that's where the Rebbe taught everyone. Look at this.
Right.
This was a van, the Messiah van. Long live our master teacher and Rebbe, King Mashiach forever. To me, that's
Crazy.
wild that that's just out there like that.
It is crazy.
Now,
It is crazy.
not all of Chabad is so open in their proclamation like that. And as you can probably imagine, ladies and gentlemen, it's a somewhat controversial belief. So we're just letting you know. But here's the thing with Chabad. Chabad is very outreach centered. So they believe in helping Jews to embrace actual Judaism, first of all. But they also believe in shining a light to the Gentile nations as they see it. And so that's where they talk about the 7 Noahide laws. So when we were there, I got a card. Can you briefly explain Chabad and their use of the Noahide laws?
Yeah. So as Vocab have mentioned, they are predominantly concerned with the Jewish nation, right? The people of Israel. And when I say the people of Israel, I'm talking about Jewish people, right? We refer to ourselves as a nation, right? So they're predominantly they're predominantly like focused on reaching the Jewish people or the Jewish person, right? Whether they're religious, whether they're not religious. More so, they're concerned with, if you're not religious but you're Jewish, let's get you tapped into your Judaism, and God willing, that'll spark, something that leads you back on the path of, you know, your Jewish heritage, so to speak, right?
Hold on, hold on.
But
Since you stopped there, can I show? I want
yeah,
to
yeah,
show the mikvah, the mobile mikvah, real quick, and the tefillin wrap situation, and then we'll talk about the outreach to Gentiles. So, everyone, this is different, but we are not here. We're gonna have fun. I just want to make it clear in case it hasn't been clear. We're not here to make fun. We're not here to mock. We're here to
right,
explain and educate. Now we'll have a little bit of fun along the way doing it. We're two Christians,
for
but
sure.
in a good way, because this is for us it's about respect and love, and for us it's about greater understanding. And we received a very warm welcome from the people there, and it was a beautiful time. Let me show you real quick here. It's gonna just give me a second here on this video. I want to show you guys briefly here. I'm going to show you one of the mobile mikvah situations that are present, and then can you explain kind of how they operate, Nico? After I show this, I got 2 different videos I'm going to show here, so people. The name. Yeah. Okay. Well, it's right there. Yeah. Of course. Wait, is there someone in there? Or that was just parked. I know it's a little windy, ladies and gentlemen, but these videos are short. It's only 20 seconds long. Mitzvah tank says Mashiach is on the way. You can come wrap tefillin, do some other stuff, do a mitzvah today, or you can text the rabbi. But hey, make sure you text him 24/6. 24/6. 24/6, bro.
Respect this.
I like that. I thought it was actually humorous. Now, I understand it's a serious issue for folks
Yeah,
that
yeah,
follow Judaism. But, the 24/6 is obviously in honor of the Sabbath. I thought it was like a clever little thing, and it's like you immediately get it.
yeah, yeah.
But so the mikvah mobile, wrap tefillin,
Mitzvah.
mitzvah, sorry, why did I just do that? Can you explain real quick how that works?
Yeah, so pretty much like, instead of being, only stagnant to that neighborhood, they'll take these tanks and they even get bigger, like a whole bus sometimes. Called, and like you saw, they're called mitzvah tanks, and pretty much like they'll go into the city, they'll go into different neighborhoods, um, predominantly like, around the holiday season, and they'll give the opportunity, they'll set up shop essentially, so that Jews who are passing by, even if you're not the most religious Jew, but it's, let's say it's Passover, and you just, kind of celebrate it because it's family custom, you can go and you can wrap tefillin. You know, if you haven't done the any blessings for that holiday, whatever holiday it is, you know, you can do the blessings there. You know, they'll go around asking, "Are you Jewish?" You know, so that you can wrap tefillin, or if you have to say a certain blessing, like for the feast of what's it called, tabernacles. Um, uh, you know, they have a mobile tabernacle that you can eat in. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have one at home, so basically, it's a way to be mobile and to help Jews uh, do the mitzvot, or the commandments.
Yosef Yehuda, I appreciate you helping me out. I butcher a lot of translations. Don't put it on Nico. That's all me. Mitzvah or mitzvah, not mikvah.
Right, mitzvah. Yeah.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. And so, you'll see those. And so the idea is to get people to be able to sort of reclaim and then kind of like tap in with their Jewish ancestry. So this is something that you won't really see. I don't think a lot of Orthodox practitioners do, because it's a little more maybe insular, and so not everyone even agrees with these methods. But what I think it's helped done, in my opinion, in a positive way, it's helped Chabad. So this is the organization behind this, or school of thought. What it's done is it's really helped people. It's helped Chabad become really warm,
Yeah.
really warm and really inviting and really kind, and people who really are good at knowing how to talk to others. And I think that's a really good thing. And as Honey Bunny, I hate when people have weird names like that, says, Chabad helps Jews and non-Jews with food, soup, kitchen, clothes. The Jewish people do more for the humankind, more than your own Christian, Muslims, faith. The Jewish people never turn anyone away. Well, I don't know if we have to.
Yeah.
The latter part, I don't know if you got to, be banging on other people. But we would agree with Chabad's positive outreach, right, Nico? As far as that goes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I do appreciate, and I think a lot of people appreciate, like you just said, the openness that they have, the warmth that they have, the fact that they push this kind of love and light, spreading light into the world type of mentality. Now, obviously we know that the scriptures is not just about, oh, just spread light and love and that's it. But for the organization, for Chabad, like, a lot of people are more open to them because that's what they kind of lead with, and it's actually kind of fun watching, the mitzvah tanks come through on the holidays, and they're playing music, and they got, like, for Hanukkah, they got the Hanukkah on top of the vans or whatever like that, just lighting up, the street, and then they're just blasting music. So it's very interesting, for those who don't know what's going on.
It's like celebratory though as well. There's like a celebratory element to this, where sometimes you can have hold on, maybe you can have forms of religious practice of any religion that are kind of boring and whatever. But Honey Bunny says, no, I just pop in your video, pop on my screen, wondering what y'all are yapping about the Chabad. I don't know, Honey Bunny, maybe you should stick around and see what we're doing. First of all, Nico is a Christian who also has Sephardic background, so we're not going to be banging on anybody, first of all. And second of all, we're about to tell about our positive experiences with Chabad. This is not a diss track. We have our disagreements, obviously, but this is not the bang. So I don't know. Just maybe pay attention before you start yapping at us. How about that?
This is not a diss track. That's hilarious.
Now, you visited 770 before. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I've visited on several occasions. One on my own. The first time was on my own. The first couple of times was on my own. Just kind of seeing, like, what they're about, like, somewhat of what you did, right? Trying to see what they're about, what their beliefs I would go, since I live close by, I just walk around during like the holiday seasons sometimes, and I try to pick up conversations with different people. And then, if the Lord leads me, just it goes into a gospel kind of conversation of like, have you ever heard of Yeshua? Like, what have you heard? Why isn't he the Messiah? Those kind of topics. But the other kind of way that I've also been around 770, funny enough, so the church that I serve at on Sunday, um, we had some missionaries from Texas come in, and we were hosting them, and my pastor had asked if I can kind of like take them through the neighborhood, and so I took them to uh, 770 and kind of had a we had a devotional,
Hmm.
and then took him to the Jewish neighborhood to essentially link the Jewish culture and our Christian faith, right? Our
Mm.
faith in Yeshua. Like one of the questions I had asked them was, um, you know, uh, does anybody have a best friend who's Jewish? And everybody was like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, Yeshua, if he's your Messiah, he should be your best friend, and he's Jewish. And a lot of the conversation was like, wow, as stupid and as corny as that sounds, it's like I don't really think of him as Jewish, and I don't know why, right? I just think of him as like that's just Jesus, that's just my Messiah. But basically, like I would take them through the Orthodox neighborhood, specifically in 770, so they can kind of ask questions about the Jewish culture, Judaism in the Bible. Where does it connect? Where does it diverge? And so yeah, I take them over there as well to kind of say like, go see it for yourself, and ask questions to them.
Yeah. And in case everyone hasn't understood, when we're saying 770, that's an address, and it's sort of
Right.
shorthand for the Chabad Lubavitch headquarters. And so, again, you have different branches of Judaism, conservative, reform. We're not talking about those today. We're talking about
Yeah.
within Orthodox, you have the Hasidim, and then between, underneath, sort of as one of those with that, you have Chabad Lubavitch, which we're talking about today. And you have a concentration there in Crown Heights because the seventh Rebbe taught there at 770. So it's become almost a pilgrimage site. But on your way there, you see a lot of interesting things, such as we're going to show pictures of 770 here in a second. But I want to show people the
Mitzvah take.
not the
Mashiach.
but I want to show. Here's what I want to show people. I want to show people here the ambulance. Can you explain real quick here after we show this brief little clip? The
Mhm.
situation with the ambulance, and also, there's not just own ambulance; they have their own police there as well. So
It's about
here you
the
go.
Hatzalah.
Well, I don't know too much about it, but basically, this is like specific to the Jewish community. They uphold the laws when it comes to like how to handle their body or people in need. Obviously, if somebody in need during the Sabbath, they do that as well. It's part of the law to help preserve life during the Sabbath.
Makes sense.
So.
So you're almost being like a little tour guide there, bruh. I think you're doing a good job, though. So explain the deals with the EMT, right, and the police, because a lot of people might be shocked about that. And just real
Yeah.
quick, I know you're probably going to say this, but I want to say it just because I feel like there's some confused people here. This is not because it's someone saying, oh, hey, we're better. It has to do with a different issue that you should be able to understand why it's important. Go ahead and explain as far as the situation why they would have their a separate ambulance there in Crown Heights for the
Yeah,
Orthodox.
for sure. So like you had mentioned, a lot of the times Puerto Rican, interacting with both Jews and non-Jews, I hear the stereotypes all the time, right? Of like, oh, they think they're better than us because they have their own ambulance or they have their own, police and all of that stuff. And in reality, that's not the case at all. Like, there are certain laws and certain statutes in which the Orthodox Jewish community need to uphold, that a secular ambulance, for example, will not adhere to. So like, for example, how to handle certain a body, right? There's certain laws that in the Orthodox community, um, there's a way to conduct, how you treat a body, right? Um, Whereas if it was just a regular secular ambulance, they're going to be essentially stepping all over the place. You know what I'm saying? And disrespecting those laws. So it's not a matter of like, oh, they think they're better than us. That's why they need something separate. A lot of times it's literally no. It's for practical reasons. Like they have a law that they adhere to, and I don't think that people understand how in depth the law the law within Jewish life is, right? Because it's not just, what we see in the scriptures, but then you have interpretations of that law, right? And then like you have traditions that develop in different parts of the world that become latched on to the Jewish community. And so you have laws that go from everything from, what to wear to how to put on certain things. Like for example, you have laws that talk about which sock to put on first. When you wake up, right? Is it the right or the left? Like that type of thing, right? You have laws that have to do with every single time you drink. This is a specific blessing that you do. When you eat, this is a blessing that you do. So it's like these laws are not just things that you kind of glaze over, right? Or general laws. These go very in depth into every part of Orthodox Jewish life, and so it would make sense why you need a separate ambulance, for example, because those laws apply to as well when it comes to sickness, when it comes to death, those type of things.
I think that's a good explanation. I appreciate that. And, I think it's good that you've been studying this and that you were able to kind of navigate between the worlds of, Messianic Christianity, evangelical Christianity, and Orthodox Judaism. We need more people who are able to do that. So keep on, my brother. So here we've just got a picture of one of the ambulance there that we've been talking about. And then also, with the police, what's the deal with the police? How do you say Shmira? Shmira, I think is how you say it, because there's also the police there as well. Mobile Command Center, Crown Heights Safety Patrol.
Yeah, Shmira.
What does Shmira mean or stand for? Do you know?
I think it was an acronym, but I could be wrong. I don't. I'm not too familiar with it.
Everything's an
Yeah.
acronym. Everything's an acronym up in here, bro. I mean,
It
it's
could
all,
be. I could be wrong.
it all starts with the Tanakh. So that's an example. You see Crown Heights Safety Patrol there as well. And
Yeah.
Hassan has some questions. I don't know if we'll be able to get to those right now. Honey Bunny, who came in hostile, is now contributing, which I don't mind at all. The Hatzalah, also spelled Hatztola. Rescue Relief is the title used by many Jewish volunteer emergency medical services, EMS organization, serving mostly areas. Okay. I'm going to text this information in 3 parts. So all you... Honey Bunny, are you Jewish? Do you have some other name I can call you besides Honey Bunny? I'm not feeling. I'm gonna go with HB because I don't know. This is like I'm not dissing you, but your name, like the name, sis. Like come on. We don't want to go around saying that. I'm just gonna call you HB. Okay, we're just gonna go with that. There we go. This is gonna HB there. Yeah. So I forgot. Getting back to this, I kind of got sidetracked a little bit. It's all me. Here we've got. When we went in 770, we got these cards, and on the front it says this little card of goodness and kindness, think good, speak good, do good. And it's got the verse from Isaiah 2:4. They will beat their swords into plowshares and spears into pruning hooks. Nation will not take up sword against nation, nor will they train for war anymore. This is something where there's a similar impulse for the Christian and the Orthodox Jew, where we both long for the Messianic kingdom. Now, obviously, I think it goes without saying there's a massive gulf of difference in how we understand who is bringing that about in the sense of who the Messiah is. We all understand it's the one true God of the universe. But you see the Messianic impulse is a healthy thing there, Isaiah 2:4. That's what we all want. And, the 7 laws of Noah, so I would look at this as sort of a Noahic covenant. That comes where you have God speaking to Noah, the rainbow is a sign of the covenant. And you
Right.
have the 7 laws, and the idea is they're like, hey, look, Gentiles don't need to keep all 613. I know that is not an agreed upon number, but I'm just saying the idea of like, hey, everything entailed in the law. What they should do though is in this Noahic sense, do these things that come out of what God said to Noah in Genesis 9. Do not worship idols. Do not blaspheme his name. Do not murder. Do not steal. Do not live an immoral lifestyle. Do not be cruel to animals. Pursue justice. These are somewhat similar. Now, there's a little bit of interpretive element there in those, but this is somewhat similar to actually some of the things you see in Acts 15 to bring together the Jew and the Gentile in the early church congregation. I'm not saying it's identical, but it's somewhat similar. And then there's a smaller card that you could put in your wallet that they also gave us. They actually gave it to me. I guess they didn't think you needed it because you had the kippah on. But that I'll put your comment on the screen, HB, but I probably won't be able to read this one. It's getting a little long. So you come in with the kippah. What's the difference between a kippah and a yarmulke?
It's just the language. Like it's the same thing, but it's just a language difference. Like yarmulke is more Yiddish, which is like European Jewry, and then kippah is Hebrew. So it's the same thing, just a different language.
And yours, you have it on right now. Can we see it a little bit? Is that okay? And it's a knit woven one. There's also suede ones and silk ones.
Yeah, you have a bunch of different fabrics. Like legit, they can come in suede, like you said. Bukharian Jews, for example, have very beautiful kind of like silk ones where you'll see like a very beautiful intricate design, and it's all influenced by your belief system within Judaism, like what type of Judaism you kind of reflect. Is it more a quote unquote Zionist one, that is connected to the land of Israel? Is it more of like an earthy kind of expression? I guess for Christians, to give us kind of like, to give those who don't understand an image, it's almost like, a John the Baptist type of, faith where you're like in the forest, that type of, earthy connection to God, and then you have also, just like I said, different fabrics, different sizes, everything from like super small to full head coverings. And even, before the kippah and the yarmulke came around, you had Jews. We used to wear sudras, which is pretty much like what people now call keffiyehs. That's not, a Palestinian thing, or I should say, it's not exclusively a Palestinian thing. That scarf has been around in that area for generations, and Jews back in the day before the yarmulke, or the kippah kind of got smaller, we used to wear that, right, as a covering over our heads. And you can see even like Yemenite Jews. If you see pictures of Yemenite Jews, they have their heads covered in those things with like the curls kind of coming down off to the side. So, yeah.
Appreciate that. And this is why I said, Hassan, you were a hater. Like, even just your little comment, like you're trying to help, but you have to hate also at the same time. So I don't mind having haters around. It keeps me humble, but you're definitely a hater. Come on, bro. We all know you're a hater, bro. I mean, you've been hating on this channel since like day one, bro. No doubt about that. But it's nice to see you nonetheless, because I don't trip. I don't take it personally. Now, listen, if you're a practitioner of Judaism, you're here in the audience, understand we're two Christians, and understand you may be like, oh man, this guy, I'm talking about me, he doesn't know what he's talking about, da-da-da. Hey, I'm okay with that too. My goal is to learn and grow. And so I hope you understand this is exploratory, and I get more accurate and more understanding as I go on. And I hope that you can see that and sense that. That's why I have Nico here to kind of help things along. Everyone should be a lifelong learner, and that's what I'm trying to be here. And so I appreciate, Yosef here and HB, and there were some other folks who were contributing as far as some of the Jewish knowledge. And I really appreciate Yandel, fellow PR brother, along with Nico, dropping a massive super chat, the first of the show, and as of now, the only of the show. But let me just say, Yandel, I hope you're still here, because you get this right here. My man. Thank you for that super chat, brother. I know it's loud, everybody. I'm trying to wake you up. Now, let me say something to the camera real quick, and now we're going to talk about going to 770. I
Yeah.
imagine this part right here. Hold on, let me click it on. That was more humor when I saw that. Just cracked me up. Where'd it go? Oh yeah, it's right here. Okay. I imagine this part right here. I could see it getting clipped. When I'm going through Brooklyn, okay, and I'm in this section,
Mm.
I'm in that section. When I'm first around, I'm in Williamsburg, but I'm in like the hipster part. That's where the little hotel I stayed at was. And I'm
Yeah.
there, and you know, what do you see there? You see people drinking their coffee, walking their pets, you know, their dumb little dogs, their little pocket rat dogs, you know, that are barely a dog, you know, they don't have real dogs out
Banging on
there.
the dogs, bro. Dang.
Yeah, because I have a real dog. I had a Doberman. Before that, I had a Boxer Pit, you know, so I don't respect these little non-dog dogs, right? But you know, I'm going through, and you know, different parts of Brooklyn are different, obviously. And you get to Crown
Yeah.
Heights, and all of a sudden, it turns into like a family atmosphere. You have
Hmm.
you have dads pushing strollers. You have moms pushing strollers. You have dad and moms together walking. You have
Yeah.
young men dressed nice, and I mean like boys who are carrying themselves well, and you can tell they're learning to be respectful to their parents. And young girls, same thing, who are learning how to be ladies, and they're modest, and they're just going about their business, whether it's going to get some knickknacks or going into the kosher pizza spot like we went to when we were done, or maybe training, maybe going into Chabad. You know, tends to be obviously more young men in that situation. Wherever you're at along these pathways, going to get some kosher coffee. And you're seeing this, and it has like this almost like an open mall, open park environment out of nowhere. You feel very safe.
Yeah.
You feel like this great family atmosphere and environment. And I'm going through with Nico, and I'm going to put him back on the screen. You can see him on the screen, his picture right now. But I just want to make sure everyone hears this before we transition. And I'm sitting there thinking, and maybe I even said it to Nico, and you're still able to talk, Nico, because they can hear your voice. I just wanted to do this. I'm thinking,
Hmm.
why would anyone have a problem with these folks? No one is bothering anybody here. This is a model of good America. Families together, enjoying life, walking in the outdoors, running a business that helps the larger society. You know, you see like love of neighbor. Now, again, I'm going to emphasize, I'm a Christian. I'm not an ecumenical Christian where we don't recognize our differences. So I have to reiterate, I truly believe Jesus is the Messiah, and this is a big deal. But I'm not. This is a different type of show. This is an educational, exploratory show for Christians, especially to hear what it's like from a noob, me, perspective. And you just thinking, you know, these folks aren't going to harm anybody. They're not going to go bother anybody. They're not going to invade your neighborhood. Why do people go into the, like what happened recently with the pro-Palestinians, come into Borough Park, antagonize
Yeah.
them? There's no need for this. Like what I say, we want to see more in America of what you see in a place like Crown Heights. Now, I understand Chabad is especially open and warm and knows how to sort of treat guests, for lack of a better word. I understand some of the other Orthodox communities in other places, from what I've been hearing, can be a little more insular, but still, you know, it's not a bad thing to like say, okay, we're going to set this up, and there's strength in numbers. That's not a bad thing, nonetheless. And so I was just walking through, almost like confused sometimes, like, why the hate, people? Why the hate? You know, why not just love and want to reach out and learn and dialogue and converse and enjoy each other's company? Why the hate? And it's just a sad thing to see all the hate because it doesn't have to be that way. So I just wanted to say that when we transition. You want to comment on that, my man, before we go to the next spot here?
For sure. I mean that. Shoot, we can spend hours talking on that. I will say that, you know, why the hate? There is just so much, right? There's whether it's misunderstandings culturally, because that's another thing. Like, even though, you know, uh you might live next to a Jewish neighborhood, for example, or, you know, someone who's Jewish, that doesn't mean that they have the same culture as you, right? Like, it could be worlds apart. And so something that for you might be offensive, to them it's like, I don't see what the problem is, right? So a lot of times there is just a misunderstanding of cultural, you know, it's just cultural differences, right? Two, you know, on the more kind of negative side, there is a very real jealousy with a lot of people that happens, right? At the same time, there are also, because let's not act like everyone's perfect. There are people even within the Jewish community that can be snobby, that can be a bad example of what a Jewish person, according to Scripture, what the call of a Jew should be, and that just goes with anybody. And so, unfortunately, it's almost like, if I can say it this way, if people run into a bad example of what a Jew is supposed to be, now they have this uniform to associate that image with, right? And so now it's not just regulated to that one person. Now, oh, it has to be this entire culture, right? And so, that's where stereotypes come in. You have people that may have read a little bit of the Talmud, or misread certain things out of context, and they're like, oh, they want to make us slaves. And then now a whole thing like the game of telephone starts happening. And so it's just so much, you know what I'm saying? It's just so much uh reasons why people have animosity towards Jewish people, both looking misunderstanding on one side, or the other. Also, like I said, Jews are humans too, and so there are messed up people as well, and they give a bad name to everyone else, and so people often run with that image as well.
Yeah, and that's like with any community. It's like, but we're it's not showing charity, love, and kindness. Especially if you call yourself a Christian, to be like, oh,
Yeah.
look, this bad person. Therefore, it's like nobody wants to be judged by the actions of someone else, especially a whole
Right.
group of people. And it's
Right.
just not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to judge righteously, ladies and gentlemen. And all this prejudice and bigotry and division is bad. I mean, look, ladies and gentlemen, if you're walking down the street and you see a happy, healthy Jewish family and you're
Yeah.
jealous, them having an intact family, it doesn't stop you from doing better with your family. If you walk
Right.
by and you see they're owning a business, kosher pizza, like I mentioned before, that doesn't stop you from having a business. It's not holding you down. So I don't get like the envy that people have. It's like them walking them being with their grandpa on a Sunday, on a Monday, doesn't stop you from being with your grandpa. I'm just saying, like, come on, people. There's like such a level of immaturity, silliness. It's not holding you back. In fact, it's a good model. So hey, shout out to Daughter and D New. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, my bad. It's also very interesting and very like like today, right? And I'm talking about, like, since the conflict in Gaza and
Yeah.
all of that started. I have to be very careful as to how much social media I consume,
Oh yeah.
because it's one thing from the outside to kind of see like these anti-Semitic lies being told, and people celebrating, but it's like to be connected to that people, and then you're seeing this, you're seeing comments like Hitler was right, or
Yeah.
6 million wasn't enough, you know what I'm saying? And
Right. Yeah.
people laughing, and it'll literally just be a video of, like you said, a wholesome Jewish family just showing, hey, this is how we live. And then you look at the comments, and you can almost 100% guarantee you're going to see some reference to the Holocaust, right? Some
Yeah.
reference to Free Palestine. And it's like, bro, they're showing you how they live. They have like no political, commentary, no nothing like that. But you're gonna see that. And so, I mention that because it's like, as you're talking about what's the beef, um, you know, I personally, I believe that it is deeper than just stereotypes, and deeper than just like racial hatred. I do believe that it is satanic in root,
Yeah.
because no matter what, whether we're talking about, well, first off, Jewish hatred is, from my understanding, the oldest hatred in the world as far as towards a group of people, that has prevailed throughout the generations. And so it doesn't really matter whether the Jews are powerful in a society. They're called, the ones who are pretty much in charge of everything, right? If the Jews are poor, then they're blamed for whatever issues happen, like the Black Plague or whatever like that, right? So whether they're rich, whether they're poor, they're the fault of something, right? Whether they have much, oh, they're holding other people from having places of power, or when they have nothing, it's like, oh, you're a drain in our society. So it's like, no matter what it is,
Yeah.
whether it's a religious thing, oh, your religion is the synagogue of Satan, right? Or whether it's a secular Jew, where it's like, oh, you guys push the porn industry and stuff like it can go all over the place, but essentially it's all rooted in the fact that this person is Jewish. And
Yeah.
so that's why I feel like it's satanic in root, because no matter what, no matter time period,
Can't win.
it's always, you can't win for losing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Shout out to my Orthodox friend Tomer. He says, "Vocab, you're coming to my house next Shabbat.
Hey.
If you don't, I know your house, so I'll drag you to mine." Oh, this is the opposite of. Is this like the opposite of the brown shirts, except you're coming for me?
Horrible.
All right, Joel. Just let me know what's up, Tomer. Just let me know what's going on. I mean, you don't got to pull a pogrom on me.
Wow.
Yeah, buddy. Okay, so we're about to go into 770.
Yeah.
And we actually had like a tour guide, Israeli gentleman. And we didn't do a lot of pictures or anything like that because just the nature of the situation. But we got a few. Let me show you a little bit of what we got here so you can get an idea. Okay, so we're going to actually go in Chabad. And I got a couple little things that I think will be helpful to show you guys. I got some pictures. And I've also got a brief little video that they're showing. They're like playing this video in the lobby there when you first come in. Where did it go? Where did I put that video? I can't find my little. Oh, there it is. Okay, it's 20 seconds. This is the video of Schneerson they're showing like in the lobby when you come in. So that's the Rebbe right there. That's Schneerson. And they show these videos of him meeting with different people. And so he's meeting with different people, and then he's talking to them, and it's not playing. It's like playing like in a loop here.
You never seen it?
Oh yeah, I've seen Schneer lots.
No, I'm saying you do that with me.
Oh no. So that's an example here, but I'm also going to show some pictures. Oh wait, hold on, just a second, guys. I've also got some pictures I want to show here, and so we're actually going inside now. We're going inside, and do you remember what Chabad stands for off top?
I do not.
I didn't remember, but it's spelled like Chabad. So if you guys see it, you may not recognize, but that's how it's spelled. How would you pronounce it? Chabad?
Yeah, Chabad.
And so here I am. You took this picture. Thank you, brother. Standing on the outside of it. This just shows what it is. So there's the top there. Lubavitch. Can you tell people? Do you remember what that's from? Doesn't have to do with the city of origin or something like that.
Right. So it's the city of origin where I believe it's in Russia. Either Russia or Ukraine.
Lithuania or something. Russia, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. So that's the town that essentially this branch kind of comes out of.
And so that's on the outside. So remember we were coming up, we saw like groups of like school students, and they would come in and they would like take their picture or sing a song in front of the Chabad headquarters, right?
Yeah.
And it looked like it was probably a lot of Israelis, maybe.
Yeah, a lot of Israelis come and it's almost like like you said before, it's like a pilgrimage, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember I had and this is another thing too that's an interesting fact. Even though they're in Brooklyn, a lot of people within that neighborhood may not speak English, right? So
right.
like I had a conversation a guy named Yaakov, right, or
Mm-hmm.
Jacob, um,
Mm-hmm.
and we were talking about uh, the Rebbe and whether or not
Mm-hmm.
like he fulfills the biblical standards of Mashiach, right?
Right. Right.
I was asking him where he was born, and does the Tanakh tell us where the Messiah is going to be born? Trying to take him to Micah 5:2, um, and then asking about Daniel chapter 9, the destruction of the temple and the cutting off of Messiah. But it was hard to have that conversation because I kind of had to like water down my English because the dude didn't speak English, and so he knew very little, and then I knew very little Hebrew. So
Mm.
it was almost like whatever I was lacking in my English, like he would pick up, or whatever, or excuse me, whatever I was lacking in my Hebrew, he was picking up, and then whatever he was lacking in his English, I was picking up. So it was like it was hard, you know what I'm saying? But um, yeah, a lot of people in the neighborhood may not speak English, you know what I'm saying? And that's because a lot of people come from different parts of the country,
Yeah,
world.
even our tour guide, you could tell, was Israeli, and his his first language wasn't English. Jovan asked, "What's this discussion about?" We are talking about on Monday, so just 3 or 4 days ago. Myself, Nico, who's a resident of Brooklyn, and myself, I visited from Phoenix. We went and visited Crown Heights and got a tour of Chabad 770 and different things like that. That's what we're talking about. And I see you've caught on because he's letting us know what Chabad stands for. So Javon's got some information, which means wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in Hebrew. And so
There
their
you
goal
go.
is to try to spread that. And Yosef commented also about Lubavitch and being in Poland. Chabad's the
Poland. There
acronym.
you go.
Yeah. So we got quite a few people, who know what's going on. Yosef is talking about Haredi Jews are a whole different. I'll just leave that on there. I'll just leave that on there. Your comment, people can read that. But we got some really knowledgeable people, and in the live chat, which I really appreciate. And now I'm about to share one of the pictures that I think they're going to trip out on hardcore. Now it's actually basically the thumbnail to this, and so it is what it is. But boom.
I know you. Okay, there we go.
So this is the bottom part of 770. We are inside,
Yeah, it's the main shul.
and everyone is just studying away.
Yep.
They are
Yep.
just studying away. That's just all that's happened. You guys think there's some kind of secrets going on? They're just studying. There's a little closer of a picture. So these are mainly
Yep.
younger men. And some of them look up and they see us there, but for the most part, they're just studying. That's all they got going on.
The cool thing that I saw, as well, and I'm mentioning this for kind of like our Christian audience,
Mm-hmm.
and just for those who don't know, a part of Talmud study and stuff like that is, and we saw it in that area too. It was people studying right alone, but then you also saw people going back and forth, right? Like they had a partner, and
Yeah,
that's
I
kind of
noticed that.
standard.
That's standard, you
Yeah,
said.
yeah, that's kind of standard when it comes to Talmud study, right? Like you're supposed to have a partner to study with you, and in a sense, and correct me if I'm wrong for those who are more in depth into that branch, but um, it's supposed to act like it's like an iron sharpens iron kind of situation, right? Because you guys can be discussing a part of the Talmud, and whether you agree on a rabbi's interpretation or not, and you got to give an argumentation, and the person will give you pushback. So it's a part of the study is is a mental push, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
not just glorifying God with just faith, but like also with your mind. And I mentioned that because we see that in the Brit Hadashah, the New Testament. I mean, Paul, right? Like people think that it was just Paul that was pushing back on people, and kind of like this debater. Like no, this is very intrinsically connected to the Jewish culture, right? Like when it comes to the studying of the Torah, they didn't just like avoid problems. And unfortunately, in our churches, a lot of times we see back and forth and conflict as a bad thing, but it's also good because it pushes you. It challenges you to think critically about what are you reading in the text and why do you hold to this, right? Can you give a solid argument for what you're holding to? You know, so
Yeah.
I wanted to bring that up because that's what we were also seeing too, and it's
Mm-hmm.
very intrinsically connected to our faith, even as those who believe in Yeshua as the Messiah.
Yeah, and Christians need to get on that too, instead of having this weak faith that can't get no push.
Yeah,
Israelite Kal Edah of Ein Sof says the bottom of the place is a kollel. That's basically like a study group, an intense study
yeah,
group or gathering for the point to do this. It can be more official or less official. But yeah, I would say it is, right? That is what the bottom of the place is.
yeah, yeah.
Yosef Yehuda says partner learning is called Chavrusa or Chavrusa. Partner study is
Mhm.
key for learning Talmud. Nico correct. Iron sharpens iron. And then we've got HB says no such thing as kosher coffee. Hey, give me a break. What I was really saying is the kosher coffee shop, because there was a kosher coffee shop. It had other items like yogurt and fruit, and that's all I'm trying to say. And I could think there's whatever. There's a lot of haters out here, bro. Living Hebrew says Talmud. Where is that in Torah? So that's interesting. I would say it's not, but here's something I had to learn. When these folks in this setting refer to Torah, they seem to mean all of the Tanakh, plus the Talmud, plus
Yeah.
the Midrash, plus the Zohar. Is there something I'm missing?
Not basically, like, Torah could be used to either mean the first 5 books of Moses, it could be just the Tanakh, or it can be just all encompassing of all of kind of Jewish law,
Because I looked at it in a more technical sense. Like if we're saying Torah, I'm thinking first 5 books. But at least here today, they were using, or on Monday when we went, I noticed people were using Torah in a more expansive sense to cover anything that they thought was law. Because you guys got to understand, Talmud is basically viewed by a lot of folks as like oral Torah. Is that right, Nico?
Yeah, yeah. It's like you have the law that was passed down that was written, and then you have the law that was orally passed down, which teaches how to walk out the written law.
Yeah. So, look, I think it's good to learn about this stuff. I'm not leaving the Christian faith anytime soon. And that's an understatement. And I understand that someone might be like, well, this guy doesn't know anything. I find a lot of people who are even steeped in Judaism, a lot of times they might not know much about what we believe as Christians. So I think there can be some good exchanges there. I'd like to see. Israelite Kal Edah of Insuf says, yeah, Kabbalah, see, there's like 5 or 7 Torahs. I forgot the correct amount. Do you know what he's saying? What he's saying? But 5 or 7 Torahs? So I did miss some if that's the case under this rendering.
I'm not sure what exactly he's referring to. I know that there's like different faces of the Torah, and there's like more. I know there's more than like five,
Yeah.
7 faces. But that might be something else.
What's funny? It's like a lot of Christians are like, dang, we got this New Testament, we got this Old Testament. Now, obviously, they don't call it that in those settings. And people are like, yo, this Old Testament's heavy. Now, the New Testament is much smaller, and obviously, there's a sense in which it's commenting on the Old Testament. Now, I'm going to say it's doing a lot more than that, okay? I'm not a Hebrew roots guy. It's not merely commentary. But nonetheless, you have this interpretation and whatnot. Imagine adding on top of that Talmud, Midrash, Zohar, Kabbalah. Imagine adding on top of that. Plus, maybe the Rambam and Maimonides. You're just like,
Yeah.
that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff.
That's why they study all day.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you go down there, and it's like a library in the sense of there's books all around, and people
Yeah.
are looking at them. And by the way, every seat is full. This is like the hottest joint in town, bro. Every seat is full. It's packed in tight. Everybody. There's hardly an open spot. You got to slide through, right? It's like, but what's crazy is it's not exactly quiet. It's like
Yeah.
everyone is talking and everyone's having their own conversation. Some people were reading by themselves. I saw one guy with his head in the book. Literally, his forehead looked like it was glued to the page. The brother man wasn't doing no special osmosis, by the way, which only involves liquid anyway, so I'm told. He had just fallen asleep, you know.
Yeah.
Well, it's fascinating. It's fascinating to see.
The Lord took him up to the third heaven.
Is that what it was? That's what it was. Yosef says Torah means oral and written. Oral law is in the Talmud, but the Talmud is a commentary. The oral law includes the oral law. Jesus' arguments with the Pharisees were on oral law, not written. So, I partially agree with that. What I mean is, I think Jesus did present himself. Now, get in different territory. Jesus did present himself as a new lawgiver, one who is greater than Moses. But obviously, a big part of the arguments were on oral law. I'm not saying he disagreed as if Moses didn't write it or wasn't valid, but he presented himself as one greater than Moses. But these are interesting discussions. Israelite says, some people see the New Testament as a midrash if they see Jesus as the Metatron and subscribe to the divine Messiah. Interesting. There we're getting into some kind of deep waters, as it were.
Yeah.
And now I would say,
can
I do say that you have some midrashic interpretation in the New Testament, but I would never want to relegate it to merely that. But go ahead, brother. What you got?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment a little bit on, like, you said a term that for other people might be kind of Christianese, especially like our Jewish brothers and sisters who are watching. So when you say, that Yeshua was a new lawgiver, um, I, Yeshua says over and over again in the New Testament that he came not to abolish the law, but to fulfill it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, a lot of what is taught within rabbinical circles, or just what is just understood and assumed, is that when it is said that he is a new lawgiver, that he therefore abolishes, and kind of says like, oh, the Old Testament is, unnecessary type thing, right? That's not the context of what that means. And kind of, I guess, without going into deep waters here, to kind of give a connection here, there is a belief within Jewish tradition that believes that when Mashiach comes, that he will give such an in-depth um, kind of understanding and teaching of the Torah that essentially he'll peel back all the layers, right? To the point that the law that he gives will be almost as new, right? Because he's peeling back the true intention of the Torah. So that's even believed within Jewish tradition. So, for our Jewish brothers and sisters, when we hear, and I say brothers and sisters in humanity, when you hear that Yeshua is a new lawgiver or Jesus is a new lawgiver, that might give you some context as to what he's saying. As Christians, as people who believe Yeshua is the Messiah, we don't discount the importance or the relevance of the Tanakh, right? As might have been taught to you. But we believe that it is one story that comes together, and that we believe that the Messiah came, Mashiach came, and that he fulfilled it, so.
Yeah, no, that's true. I probably have a little more bit of a somewhat of a radical view. Like when I mean radical, I don't mean extremist, because it's somewhat standard, but similar to that, but not identical, because I hold Jesus is essentially going over Moses' head in key ways, and but he's not doing it to break Torah. He is showing the full meaning. He is showing the full meaning, absolutely. But I hold he's doing it a little bit more than that, in the sense of the Scripture says in the New Testament that the new covenant is superior. And I know that's hard for people to hear, but this is the whole Jeremiah 31 conversation, because it says, "I'll make a covenant not like the one with your fathers." Now, this is going to take us off a little bit, but these are things I would love to discuss. Just like those guys are down there discussing. Now, I understand they have more similar presuppositions than maybe they would with me or something like that, but that doesn't mean we can't also discuss. And so I just hope that can happen more. But I can still love and show respect and care for her. Now, back to our sort of visit at 770 Chabad headquarters there in Brooklyn, New York. We're going through, and in the basement, it's one situation. I made a couple jokes, like we stop and there's all these books on the wall, and I turn to a tour guide and I go, "What's up with? Why are these all in Hebrew?" He kind of just looks at him and he does like a side eye, right? It's like, okay.
Yeah, he didn't like that one.
Yeah. But I don't know if you heard, he comes back and he says, some are in Aramaic. I don't know if you caught this. So he played along a little bit. And then that's when I asked if they had the Septuagint, and they didn't know what the Septuagint was. Now, they may, granted, have a different name they utilize for it that I need to find out. However, I do know there are lots of Orthodox folks who basically, some of them anyway, think essentially the Septuagint was a mistake, and it's something that, certain Jews did, maybe they shouldn't have done, and the Christians end up using it. It's an interesting discussion to have about the Greek translation of the Hebrew Scriptures, but they didn't have it there, needless to say. And it was a fascinating thing to see all the people just so intent in learning. And then you go upstairs, and this is sort of a generalization, but you have young men downstairs and older men upstairs in general. And the older men upstairs, he brings us into a room that's like an old tech room. And I was like, whoa, we just up to 1989. And he points to an old man who has a big white long beard and goes, he's the one who built this. And I was like, was he still operating? And he's like, no, look. And then it's funny because the tour guide hadn't really responded very well to any of my jokes. I'd made little jokes here and there from like a Christian perspective, and he kind of like was not really feeling it. But when we get up to this room, he goes,
And
now,
I was shaking my head too.
yeah, but remember what he does, Nico? He goes, now it's my time to tell a joke.
Yeah.
And this man who had been pretty stone-faced, pretty poker-faced with all my little jokes the whole time, I was just trying to show like, hey, man, it's all love, bro. He points to a hole in the ceiling. And he goes, there's our tunnels. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Now, it's a hole in the ceiling, so it's clearly not, because we actually went downstairs and saw where the wall... It's not a tunnel system, people, first of all. It's a cleared-out wall to try to expand 770, because Lord knows they are running out of room. But you got to do it the right way. You can't just go digging in underneath the dirt, stuff like that. But you had this situation where... I covered it. It was a year ago. Just look up the show. It's called Digging About the Truth About the Tunnels or something like that. Defending Chabad. I forgot the title of the show I did. It has Defending Chabad sort of on the cover. That's in the thumbnail. Anyways, and I'm like, oh, so now you're making jokes. And then right after that, it's like rapid fire. All of a sudden he turns into a comedian. He goes and he points to these old beepers and he goes, and there's Mossad headquarters. I'm sorry. There's Mossad headquarters. All my Hebrew terms are confused in my head. I'm sorry. There's Mossad headquarters.
The Mossad beepers.
Yeah, and then another guy chimes in. So all of a sudden I realize, oh, now this is happy hour. He goes, yeah, those are better though because they don't blow up in your pocket.
They don't blow up. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, now everybody can make jokes, huh? Now everyone can make. But I thought it was funny. I felt like he was. I don't know if it was just like I'm not going to make jokes downstairs or something. But all of a sudden, it kind of lightened up, and I was like, okay, this is fun now. Now we're having fun. And he took us I don't think he took everyone in that room either. I don't think that's a common thing. Go ahead, bro.
No. Yeah. I was just going to say, I feel like, especially now because of a lot of the tension that is happening against the Jewish community, they don't know who's coming in the door, essentially.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of like they got to feel you out. And, I guess once that relationship is built, or that like rapport is built, then you can start seeing, like the walls kind of coming down. So that's what I kind of looked at and saw as well.
Yeah, it was interesting. So I did have this set up, but it's not like he really knew who I was like that. Now at the end of this, we're going to talk about somebody who did know where we are at the JIL. That was interesting, and so he takes us in it. So what it is it's an old tech room where when the Rebbe used to give his lessons, it's like, how do you broadcast something prior to live streaming if you don't
all over the world?
Yeah, if you don't have a radio station. Basically, the man there, and because he was like, he built this, the older man, he established a system where you would make a phone call out of here with the audio, and then they would relay it within their country with local calls. But you'd make one long distance call, and then the local calls would take care of it. And it had this really clever relay system. It was absolutely fascinating. And here he says there's 27 phone lines up there. And I go, oh, one for each book of the New Testament.
The New Testament.
And I don't know if you've heard the old guy sitting down who built it. He's like, I wouldn't know about those books.
Yeah.
What did he say? He said something like that. I can't remember if he said I wouldn't know about.
Yeah. He's
But he
like,
go,
I wouldn't know about those books.
yeah. He's like, I wouldn't know about those books. But I felt like, hey, look, I felt like I was doing my little part. Like, first of all, if now every time they see 27 phone lines, they know that's how many books of the New Testament there are. You see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying?
Yeah, even when you made the reference to Deuteronomy, right? Or you were actually
I
quoting
quoted Paul.
Paul. Yeah, you were quoting Paul, and Paul was quoting Deuteronomy,
Uh-huh.
and they picked up on the Old Testament reference, right? The reference in the Torah, and then you were like, no, like one of our guys said it, and then he was like, well, I don't know about that. You
Yeah, yeah,
know?
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Now, ladies and gentlemen, now just follow along. I did a debate. I've done a number of debates about true Israelites and all this kind of stuff from a New Testament perspective. It gets into whole other stuff. So I have harped on and focused on the concept of circumcision of the heart. It's obviously, it's first of all, it doesn't begin in the New Testament. I just hope everyone knows. This is something that begins in the Old Covenant. This mentioning this important. This is what Yahweh really wants out of his followers. First of all, this is what he wants, right? And so you have this concept of circumcision of the heart, right? And the Apostle Paul picks up on it. Now, I know he's picking up an Old Testament concept, but obviously when I'm talking to them, I'm going to emphasize the New Testament rendering. And my point with the little miniature discussions that I had along the way with different people at Chabad was to make sort of like we could discuss it in a jovial manner, first of all. But also I was secretly trying to work as best as I could, Lord help me, to show them the Hebraic nature of the New Testament. Because I understand a lot of religious Jews that I've met, they basically see the New Testament as like a goy book a lot of times.
Yeah.
It's in Greek. Goys love it. They probably corrupted it. The goy, but it's like I wanted to show like, no, this is a thoroughly Hebraic. This is in its mindset and its references and its allusions. This is a Hebraic book. And so when I quoted, because we were having a discussion about God's people, because when we were talking, the older man who had also built this system, he kind of heard me. He was like, and it's funny because people won't talk about you when you're there, because this is a small room. At this point, there's only about 6 of us max in this room, okay? The old man who had built the system turns and he goes, what is this guy thinking about becoming a Jew?
Yeah.
And I go, no, I'm a Christian. I'm a Jew inwardly. He goes, don't do it. Don't do it. It's the worst decision you ever make in your life. Don't do it. He was like saying, don't become a Jew. But I was telling him, no, I'm not trying to become basically, this is the short version or long version. I'm not trying to follow Judaism. I'm a Jew. I believe I'm a Jew inwardly is what I said. He's like, how's that? What do you mean? And I forgot exactly what he said, but I said, because of circumcision of the heart. He goes, oh, Deuteronomy. I was like, the Apostle Paul. So I don't know about that.
Yeah. And just to like piggyback on what you said, right? Like, even in some of the videos that we kind of like looked at, offline, and asking rabbinical Jews about why Yeshua can't be the Messiah, some of the answers are very telling, and like what you said, a lot of people think that, he made a new religion, or he stopped being Jewish at some point, and that could be that's farthest from the truth, like the New Testament, or the Brit Hadashah, right, in Hebrew is like, this is the continuation, this is the fulfillment of what, was written in the Tanakh, right? This is what the fulfillment of what the prophets were looking forward to, what Moses had written about. This is why, like, if you haven't read the New Testament, one of the things that Yeshua says in Luke, he says, was it not written in the Torah, in the Psalms, and the prophets about the Messiah and all of these things? Basically, the New Testament faith is built off of what came prior, in the Tanakh. So this idea of the New Testament is here, and then there's a disconnect from the Old Testament. That's just far from the truth. And, in a sense, that's what a lot of, myself and a lot of Messianic, Jewish believers in Yeshua, we're essentially trying to help in that understanding, both on the rabbinical Jewish side, but also on the Christian side, who may not understand that, this is a thoroughly Hebraic, religion. Like, this came out of Israel, this came out of this context, this place, and, this is who we are. This is what our faith is. So, yeah.
No doubt, and very fascinating stuff. Little Things says one thing you guys didn't see is the women who are upstairs studying too. Well, they did tell us about that. They pointed upstairs and said there's the women
Yeah,
up
we
there.
saw a little bit, but we wasn't in there with them. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, you can't see them. Shout out to Prince of Elmora, who says, pleasure meeting you at DebateCon, bro. I wish I knew which guy you were. I can't tell from the back of your head, Prince of Elmora. But shout out to you. If I met you in Newark, New Jersey, shout out to you for sure as well. No doubt about that. And so in this room, there was all kinds of different, little happenings. And the older guy who was like being kind of feisty with me, he was the funniest one, the guy who built the system. And there's a picture of him on the wall when he's younger, and he goes, yes, I used to be young and beautiful, and now I'm just beautiful. And I told Nico, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna use that, okay? When I get a little bit older, I don't want to use it yet. A little too soon to pull that out, but I'm gonna use that when I get older, So it was like great, the whole thing, and everyone was cool, and I learned so much. I hope to go back, and I'm gonna ask them, hey, can I get a little more video and picture? Like, you guys be cool with me showing people, because I showed you guys little parts, but I would like to show more. I'm gonna show one quick video here. This is very, very brief. This is just of the downstairs. Well, hold on, let me click on it. This is upstairs, but I'm gonna show this briefly. And guys, today's guest is Nico Colazo, Puerto Rican Sephardic brother, Messianic Christian, who was there with me when I went to 770. And he just is a great dude, and it was really awesome to have him. Greatly appreciate him. Okay, so here's a video that's only 3 seconds.
Cool to see. Yeah.
Okay, so this is very brief, because it's like a thing, but this gives you a much closer sense of what's happening down there. You see all the books, you see everything going on. So the Rebbe, as they call him, he used to speak down there, and it would turn into like a little miniature stadium. They'd have bleacher seats and everything. So this is like a fascinating. Yeah, it was packed, bro, but it was more packed back in the day, like what you're saying. Yeah, no doubt about that. And so. But we haven't talked about the one thing that is really going to trip people out on this show. So I know we got a lot of people here. We didn't just go to Chabad headquarters. We went to meet with a rabbi who I didn't know worked for the Jewish Institute of Learning, the JIL. I just thought it was a friend of a friend. So we went in there, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to say hi real quick. But it turned into a whole meeting. Going into the JIL. Can you briefly explain because I didn't even know what building we were walking. I just knew I had an address. So everyone got to understand. Nico saw how shocked I was. I didn't understand that this was like going to become its own thing. I just thought, hey, we're going to go visit Chabad, but real quick, I'm going to say hi to my friend's friend whom I've never met. But I'm just going to give him a shout out. But what is the JIL as far as you understand what the JIL is?
Well, what it seems like to be, I can't really speak on the intricacies. I don't know it that well, but it seems to be a headquarters.
Oops, sorry, I apologize. I keep on saying JIL. I've done that several times. I apologize, man. It's JLI. I'm sorry. Go ahead. The Jewish Learning Institute. It's JLI. It's been a long day, people. Go ahead, brother.
Basically, it looked like an organization that was just dedicated to teaching and spreading, Jewish, the knowledge of Jewish history, right? For the purpose of education, right?
Yeah, that's a good summary. And the main emphasis, because I've learned more about it since then, is first for Jewish people themselves to understand Judaism.
Right, and then for the rest of the people, the rest of the nation, so to learn about Jewish culture, Jewish history, because again, like we said earlier, a lot of these, anti-Semitic attacks and hatred a lot of it is piggybacked on lack of knowledge of the Jewish culture, and a lot of misunderstanding. So it's like the idea is cool. If you're not educated about this culture, then here, come get educated so, we can have dialogue, and hopefully some of that hatred is like, you know, quelled, because now you understand why certain things are happening.
Right.
And now you're not off of misunderstandings,
Exactly.
So, yeah.
I'm going to briefly show just a little video here of when we went to the JLI. Now, technically, we went to the JLI first, but I'm telling the story out of order because in a lot of ways, this is like climactic. So when we go, and I say, hey, yeah, I got a 11:30 with Ephraim. And they go, oh, yeah, come on upstairs. He's waiting on you, or they're waiting on you. I'm like, wait, what? So we take an elevator upstairs, and then I'm shown into this room. So all these books right here that you see, they're all published by the JLI, right? And the thing. So you can see, so there's Crime and Consequences, Survival of a Nation. By the way, there's the fruit that they, were so gracious to get me. Worrier to Warrior, you see these different titles, and they're very well done. Torah Studies, and I think it's like one of the largest institutions like this, you know what I'm saying? This is like a really big thing, the JLI. And it's run by Chabad. So it is run by Chabad. And I know the Chabad rabbis and synagogues tend to use it, but I think a lot of this material is used outside of that. And they also have stuff that is for, like you mentioned, to express Jewish history. And here's what's crazy. I walk in, and I'm going to show the pictures of the folks who greeted us in a second here. But they hand me this bag. They hand me this bag. It's a really nice bag, and they're like, oh, and we've got a gift for you. And it's got this really nice cardboard, which I had to take out so I could take home. And then it has a book inside of it. And I'm like, yo! And I was gifted this book.
Yeah,
and
beautiful.
Yes, and it's this amazing, like, coffee table style book here. This is the back you're seeing. That's the sleeve. You can tell this is really high quality. And it's called The Book of Jewish Knowledge. And it's got this super cool bookmark in it as well. And it has different citations. But here's what's crazy. And this is where I was just like, whoa. They gave me a personalized sticker in my copy.
Nice.
Now, I know you guys can't read it there. And it matches perfectly. And it says, presented a Vocab Malone, the miraculous story of the Jewish people and their timeless values offers moral clarity and hope, especially in times of confusion and uncertainty. We hope you find this book insightful and helpful in your vital work on behalf of humanity at large and friendship, Ephraim. And I was just like, and it says the Jewish Learning Institute. It has a really cool signature. And so I'm going to, dig in and dive in. And this was just amazing. And I mean, how are you feeling when this is going down? Because you didn't know this is what was going to go down.
Yeah, I was. It was a bunch of feelings, honestly, but it was like overwhelming. Because they had like a whole presentation. It was just, I was like, wow, this is next level. This is crazy.
Yeah. Now I'm going to show the picture. One of the pictures that's going to drive the haters crazy.
Uh-oh.
And that's okay. I don't mind at all, because these are my old and new friends. I'll put it that way. They're my old and my new friends, Ephraim and Yosef, and it literally says, "Welcome, Vocab Malone." Now, Nico, if I would have told them, "Hey, I got Nico with me," they would have put "Welcome, Vocab Malone" and Nico. By the way, now you notice I've got my black beanie on there, right? My little black hat. And so when we were going to meet our tour guide, I said, hey, I have a black hat on. And Nico goes, bro, everyone here has a black hat on.
Yeah, the most like unspecific description.
Yeah,
like, I'm the guy with the black hat. Okay.
And even the tour guide, when he came, he's like, you said you had a black hat on. And I thought, everyone here has a black hat on. So this is Yosef and Ephraim, and they were fountains of knowledge and wisdom at the JLI. Yeah. And awesome. And I didn't. So again, I got to reiterate, because Nico knows, because I told him I'm just going to meet this guy who's a friend of a friend, and we'll be on our merry way. I didn't know they were going to sit me down and we were going to have a discussion like we did. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
And Nico, I'm not just glad you were there only because it was really cool to experience it with somebody, especially somebody who can appreciate it. You weren't like a random person. You're like somebody who kind of, you understand and get the context. Even, you could say better than I would. And that's really cool too. But also I appreciate you're there because you took some good pictures. And so, I mean, that made a difference and I appreciate the quick thinking because otherwise I wouldn't have had a picture of. So this is when they actually gave the book. And I view it as really as a gift to like us in a way, that this happened. And so they're giving and you can tell I'm just like, delighted. My dumb old face there. And that's Rabbi Ephraim. And again, Nico, thank you so much for quick thinking and snapping a few pics like that, because I see they've got their person taking pics, but that didn't mean we would get any. And I'm going to be digging into this book, and I want to do some follow-up shows on that.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
Yeah, and it was just a cool thing, and I was just like, wow, I'm just like overwhelmed. Like I didn't expect all this, and so I think it was a good example of how we can have differences and disagreements and we can love our neighbor. And I think they exemplified that, and I hope we did too.
100%.
Bro, were you slightly jealous? You're like, hey, why is this goy come in here getting this love? Why is this goy coming in here getting this love, bro? Where's my
Nah, not at all.
You experienced, you felt the thou shalt not covet rising up? You're about to violate the 10th, bro?
Nah, not at all.
You were good?
I was good. I was thinking, man, I don't know how his reform homies are gonna feel. He's out here rubbing shoulders.
Yeah, like I said, I joke sometimes because I'm Calvinist. I'm Reformed. Sometimes I joke and I'll say, I got the head of a covenantal theologian, but the heart of a dispensationalist, for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But we took a couple pictures when I got the book, and I would have not worn my flight pants. These are like the pants I fly in. I did okay on the shirt, but like I would have worn different pants if I knew this was going to be going down like this. But I wasn't ready, and so I think the haters are going to trip out on this picture. But you know what? I hope I get more pictures like this. That's all I gotta say. It
is what it is.
Yeah, so that's all right. You guys can go ahead and hate, but these were cool folks, man. I don't get all the hate, and I wish everyone could experience what we experienced that day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like 100%. It would help.
I
feel like it would help.
The sad reality is, man, that even if you were to take, let's say, like somebody off of the live chat or whatever like that, who is like extremely hateful, and you put them in that situation and they could be shown so much love, and they will still interpret it through the lens of like, yeah, you're only saying this because this, or oh, what you really mean is this. And so it's like, for some people, unfortunately, man, all they know is hate, and so that's just going to continue to be the lens that they see things through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, this channel is a Christian channel. I'm an apologist. Some might consider me an evangelist to an extent. However, I'm going to do what I can, use what I can to, at the same time, defend the powerless and the weak and the underdog, and show love of neighbor as best I can. And that's going to include on this channel sometimes giving shout outs to our Jewish neighbors. And so, the more I learn, the more I get to do that. And, you understand what I'm doing over here, polemics against Hebrew Israelism and this and that, whatever. But, I'm going to do some other stuff too. And yeah, it was an amazing experience. Yondell asked, you see any Jewish BBOYs? Does anybody know what he means?
Jewish B-boys?
Oh, you mean B-boys? Oh, is that really? No, but I met a Jewish graph artist, Nico, right here. I'm sure there's got to be Jewish b-boys who like they flip around and the ZZ are like
Yeah, I
helicopter.
think there was a Jewish b-boy named b-boy Dreidel.
Are you? Oh, you got to be kidding me! Of course,
I'm pretty sure that was his name, b-boy
of
Dreidel.
course, that makes total sense. You know, speaking of that, you was real nice over there. Let me show real quick at the end because it was kind of windy that day, right? And I think
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think I got the video because I was taking a video of the dreidel, the big dreidel in Crown Heights. But you picked up the guy's
Yeah.
hat, and you can hear him say, "You're so great." So he got his hat for him. Here we go. Let me play this. So the guy's hat had fallen off, and Nico went and got it. There's the big giant dreidel, and Nico liked that. So Nico did a little act of charity and kindness as well. So shout out to Nico. Let's put here. Why is it? Oh, the video doesn't want to play. Oh, the video's acting like it doesn't want to play now, ladies and gentlemen.
Right, you're gonna have to take our word.
Yeah, I guess you are. I guess they are. But Nico got the guy's hat, and it was kind of cool because you can hear in the background where he's like, "Thank you." There we go.
Yes, yes. Two.
What did he say? He said, "Did you put on tefillin today?" Is that what he said? What did he
Yeah,
ask you?
that's what he had asked.
That's funny. It's like, "Thanks for picking up my hat. By the way, did you put on tefillin today?"
Yeah. Now, I usually don't put on tefillin because I don't believe it's a biblical command in the way that it is done in.
Yeah.
However, I'm not opposed to it if like someone asks me like, "Hey, did you wrap tefillin today?" I'm like, "No, I haven't wrapped tefillin today. You know, would you like to wrap tefillin?" Yeah, sure. You know. So yeah, it's kind of like for it's very important because it's a part of prayer, right? It's a part of kind of connecting.
Right.
So yeah.
So Yandel, who's like I said, Puerto Rock himself, says, "Nice, I'm a retired b-boy." Hey, Stop, you guys gotta start a click together. Tomer, my Orthodox friend, says, "Vocab, I love how you're under my Zionist control."
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah, me too. Shout out to Walsh. How you doing, Walsh? And shout out to Nate. It's great to see you, and of course D New as well. And this is a different topic, but Kwame Ma'at Ra Naomi Mentu Hotep says, "I just seen Shaka almost destroy you in Mimra." Mimra is a whole nother discussion because we were getting into the background of a John 1, but that's a different show, so he didn't really do any destroying, but that's okay if you think so. I'm glad that you watched the debate nonetheless. And that was what I did on another night. Don't worry, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the Shaka Amos debate, just not today. And so we were able to meet with them. I don't think there was anything really like private or like some, secret thing divulged that was some big thing. It was kind of like this. Here's a sense I got of the meeting. Kind of like this. Hey, my friend in LA told me that you do good work. Tell us a little bit more. We take his word for it. So we wanted to thank you for what you're doing. We wanted to hear a little bit more about what you do because we don't know what you do as well as our friend in LA. So if you could tell us, that's cool. And we'll tell you a little bit about not just Chabad, but they told us more about the JLI. We'll tell you a little bit about what we do. We want to give you this gift. This is a tool. Here's some of our goals. And hey, we'll just stay in touch. That's that was how would you describe or what would you add to the essence of us hanging out with them for the 45 minutes we were up there in the JLI?
Well, one of the things that they did ask was, how prevalent kind of, the anti-Semitism and stuff with like, Hebrew Israelites and stuff like that. Like how prevalent is that in our culture? Because again, a thing that a lot of people don't understand is that the Orthodox community, even though we see Orthodox people in our society, like working, like doing construction, or like whatever business, that doesn't mean that they know everything that's going on, within our world, right? Like they have literally their own world, right? And so it was a genuine question of like, hey, Vocab, like, you deal with this stuff on a regular. How big of a problem is this? You know, it was almost like concerning, like, right, like him being concerned, like, is this going to be a big issue for us, right? Like, is this something that we also need to put on the chart of like things we need to look after, especially now, as a
Yeah.
problem? So that was a thing that he also brought up as well, like
And
trying to understand what that is.
they were all aware of what happened in Jersey City. All of them were aware about that.
Yeah,
I covered that
yeah,
in different videos with David Anderson and Francine Graham. So the meeting, I know there's going to be some conspiracy theorists out there. The meeting was not about Hebrew Israelism, everybody.
right.
The meeting was about the larger project of Jew hatred in the world. And I interpreted it this way. They didn't literally say this, but how God-loving, Bible-loving Christians and religious Jewish people, for the sake of the larger Jewish community, can find some ways to work together and have cooperative friendships towards that end.
Yeah,
How can that be done? And
right.
it's not like we came up with some solution, or it was just like, hey, let's just stay in touch. Let's like it was like kind of simple, but it was great to meet them. You know, I hope that if they're there and they watch this, there's not like some. I think everything was cool or kosher that we shared. You know, and up there, you know, I had to sneak in some jokes too, but they're like witnessing jokes. You see, so he starts talking about like this poem by Mark Twain, and they start talking about being a light to the nations and this and that,
Right.
and being a light in dark society in general, and how that's a mission for the people of God. And obviously, we're going to define some of these terms different. But since he had brought up shining a light for the cause of God and whatnot, I said, you know, that reminds me of a quote from my favorite rabbi. My favorite rabbi said, "Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven." By the way, that's a beautiful, powerful quote. Just when you say it like that, it's such a beautiful thing. And one of the gentlemen at the table got curious. Now, these are learned men. These are very
Right.
learned men. And he says, Vocab, hold on. Who's your favorite rabbi? Because I said my favorite rabbi. And I go, Yeshua, Jesus, of course. He goes, oh, I walked right into that one. But
Yeah,
yo,
I was shaking my head as soon as like the setup was there. I was just like, here it comes.
but do you see, hey, Nico, in all seriousness, I hope you see the beauty. I feel that's beautiful because what it does is, yes, we know Jesus is greater, but
Right.
I hope it's a setup to see, wait, Jesus is a master teacher.
Yeah.
Jesus did speak like this. Jesus does talk like this. This is the way he speaks. It's like if they can be exposed to that in a positive way, I think it's such a healthy, good thing. And he was curious enough from the quote that he asked, well, who's the favorite rabbi? Now, I got a
Yeah.
new one I'm going to use, by the way, Nico, when I'm going to say my second favorite rabbi. And whenever I talk about my second favorite rabbi, it's going to be about Paul, or
There
should
we
I
go.
say Shaul? You
Shaul,
know,
there you go.
yeah. So, but that was fascinating. I don't remember. Was there anything else like that where we kind of snuck in some little witnessing joints?
I mean,
I'm trying to think of some.
it was all throughout the meeting. Um, but
Some
yeah,
some were just jokes, you know, like when they handed me the book, right? And I opened
you
it
said
up.
where's the New Testament version of it?
Yeah, I said something like that. I said something like that. But I said a few things. First of all, when he pulls it out, I go, "Oh, that's cool that you guys got the symbol for the Trinity on the cover."
Yeah, I was like, bro,
I said, "That's cool. You guys got the symbol for the Trinity." And you know what's funny? The one rabbi didn't take offense. He started talking about how there's like an original Trinity in Judaism. What
yeah,
did you think of that, bro? What did you think about that?
yeah. I mean, this is something that again, you're talking about bringing, even though these are jokes, but these are like, it brings a sense of who Yeshua is, right, in his cultural context. And it's just like, yeah, the Trinity, even though the word itself, we don't find it in scripture, right? It defines a doctrine of belief that we find in scripture and we can find in the Tanakh. We see the unity of God, how, for example, the word echad in Genesis, and not to go on a whole, kind of Bible study thing here, but we see how echad is used for two people but becoming one, so it
Yeah.
kind of describes this complex union, right? It doesn't just mean one in singularity. And we see it used that way throughout the Tanakh, right? So, you have even people like, shout outs to Rabbi Eduardo, Radar
Shout
Apologetics,
out.
where
Shout out.
he talks he talks about this as well. In a lot of Messianic congregations, they talk about these doctrines, not forcing quote unquote Christian belief as the way that rabbinical Jews kind of use it into the Tanakh, but they're saying no, the reason that we believe this as followers of Yeshua, as what we would call Christians, right, which means followers of the Messiah, of the Christ, we believe this because we see this in the Tanakh, right? It shows up in the Torah, it shows up in the prophets. So like, yeah, like when he was explaining that, it's almost like, yeah, you're making the case for what we believe, bro. But
Yeah.
for sure.
And it was fascinating because he started talking about how the number 3 is very important in Judaism.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, it was like this. I'm not saying the guy was like, oh, but it was like, I felt like it was a little beginning of a bridge being built.
Absolutely.
just like the little tiny, a couple spikes there. And it was funny because I made a few jokes like that. The guy next to me, one of the other rabbi, he goes, and I've heard this one before, by the way, but I don't want to tell him that. He goes, hey, look, all Jewish moms think that their kids are God. One just took
Think
it.
that it's God.
Yeah, one just took it a little too far.
Too far. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, there was that. But I remember also when I opened the book, and this one was more just like an eye roller. I look, and obviously I understand the concern about the violation of taking the Lord's name in vain. Where it said G-D, and I go, oh no, guys, I think there's a little typo in your book. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, there's no O here. Nico was just rolling his eyes, bro. Nico was getting disturbed by these jokes, bro. He was getting like mad disturbed. But the Lord used it to. But the Lord used it to witness. I was sliding into those evangelistic DMs, bro.
Wow. Evangelistic DMs. Don't ever use that again. Ever.
That's what was happening. Hey, when we saw the sticker of the Rebbe on the thing, I'm like, yo, that's vandalism. Isn't that breaking, like thou shalt not steal because it's a form of vandalism? You're like, nah, bro, it's evangelilism.
Here we go.
So that was you too. But here, real quick. So this is me. I took a little quick selfie at the JLI HQ, and this is that. So I don't remember which floor we went up to, but it was like maybe the 4th floor. Actually, hold on. I think I do know because I think I got a picture of the elevator. Let me see here.
Oh yeah, you took a video of the mezuzah.
Yeah, because they had the mezuzah on the elevator, and I thought it was cool. And they made a funny joke because I was like, oh, do those like light up? He's like, no, you can see inside, one of the guys says. But the other guy, because that's a mezuzah right there. The other guy goes, well, it depends who walks by it.
Right.
I was like, oh, it lights up in connection to the Ruach. He's like, ah. Oh, man. So, look, this was a dope visit.
It was.
I hope that they watch this program and are like, okay, But I also hope that there's some impact. Lord help. Lord help. Yosef Yehuda, the Kabbalistic Trinity is part of where the name Chabad comes from. The CHB and the D. And the 3 divine emanations, understand Kabbalah interpretations are not a binding belief of Jews. That's actually a very good explanation because I've heard a little bit about that. But Yosef, the way you put it in the comment, that concise, excellent. Who are you? Because you be knowing what you're talking about. That
I wonder if this is Rabbi Yehuda that we met with.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
If he is, he's not letting us know who it is. But yeah. But shout out. He's very good at describing these things, and I appreciate that. Now, I was thinking of showing one last thing. This is a little bit longer than we go. I don't actually have time to comment on this, but man, you and I have been sharing some video back and forth recently. Yeah. And it's about like, can you talk about some of the videos we've been sharing back and forth? Like, because I think it's interesting. We're coming now. Don't leave. This is an important little part of the discussion tacked on here at the end. it's like theological understandings for Christians of the Rebbe and his place within Chabad. So you sent me one video of a Israeli-born Messianic Jewish Christian who meets with the Rebbe. That's one of the videos you shared. Can you talk real brief? We got to get in and out, but talk about some of the videos you've been sharing with me, especially that one.
Yeah. So basically, we're sharing, people's belief in the Rebbe as Mashiach. Some pushback. Is he? Isn't he? The one that you're talking about specifically, it was he was a Catholic Jew, right? So he was a Jewish man who had become a Catholic, and he still identified as a Jew. Once a Jew, always a Jew, right? But he was doing an illustrated book, I believe, trying to create that bridge, right, between the rabbinical Jews and the Christian, right, to teach the Catholic essentially where they come from, right, and he was asking the Rebbe's blessing on his work. Now the interesting conversation, the Rebbe likens his belief in Yeshua, it seems like, to a disease, right? In a sense, kind of saying like, you are part of Am Israel.
Yep.
It's almost like you're one with a specific disease, like associating that disease to be in Yeshua, which, it is heartbreaking, because it's like, if you only understood Yeshua in his context, if you only teach that he is Mashiach, that he is the Israelites Israelite, you know what I mean? So
absolutely great description and understanding there. And what I wanted to do as we get ready to get out of here, I wanted to show two video, and these are interesting video where you've got a man on the streets asking religious Jews, and what he's doing, hold on, he's asking them like, hey, do you think Schneerson is the Messiah? And then they give answers and whatnot, right? And then he goes, well, if it could be him, why couldn't it be Jesus? And I just took two clips from those discussions because I thought the answers here were very interesting, very fascinating. And so I'm just going to quickly play these, and it's a good little perspective as they answer why they think Jesus couldn't be the Messiah. You've watched this video before. It's heartbreaking in a way. Here's the first. Hold on. Hold on. I'm going to show the first one in a second here, and then I'm going to show the second one. But you've already watched this video, huh?
Yeah, it's an oldie. You know what I'm saying? It's a guy from Israel. It's a guy from Israel that he goes around, and he has this channel called Ask a Jew, Ask an Israeli, Ask a Palestinian. So yeah.
Here we go. Here's the first one. And I just want to...
השאלה שלו הוא נוצרי, זה ששואל, הוא שואל, אז למה ישו לא יכול להיות המשיח? אז מה התשובה לזה?
לפי האמונה היהודית, ישו כפר.
מה זה אומר?
הוא כפר בעיקר, כפר באחדות השם, והוא האמין שיש שיתוף, שחוץ מהשם יש לו שותף.
שהוא שותף, אבל...
שהוא טען שהוא שותף, וזה כפירה באחדות השם.
אבל המשיח לא אמור להיות שותף של אלוהים?
לא שותף.
לא? אוקיי.
המשיח הוא לא שותף.
אז מה המשיח?
המשיח, התפקיד שלו, לבוא ולעזור, להיות עזר. כמו שמשה רבנו עזר, משה רבנו גם היה מבחינת משיח. אותו דבר, גם אותו משיח שיבוא, הוא יהיה כמו משה רבנו. הוא יגאל אותנו. משה רבנו לא היה שותף לקדוש ברוך הוא.
אבל הוא טוען שיש גם, יש גם את הסימנים האלה. הוא גם עשה כל הדברים האלה.
עכשיו, אז כתוב ברמב"ם בהמשך, שמי שנהרג אחרי זה, אז ידוע שהוא לא משיח.
אבל גם הרבי...
אז ככה, יפה, אז נהרג, יש דיוק בתיבה נהרג. מה ההבדל בין נהרג למת? כל יהודי יודע שמת זה מת מעצמו. אז מת מעצמו הוא יכול לחזור ולחיות ולגאול אותנו, בפרט שאנחנו מאמינים באמונה חזקה שהרבי מלובביץ' הוא מלך המשיח והוא חי וקיים עוד גם לפני הסימנים האלו, כי אנחנו הולכים לפי תורת אמת, לא לפי המציאות שאנחנו רואים בעולם, כיוון שהקדוש ברוך הוא ברא את העולם וזה הניסיון האחרון, אנחנו מאמינים שזה הניסיון האחרון, הקדוש ברוך הוא כביכול מנסה אותנו